What's up, y'all? How's it going, everybody? Happy Thursday, y'all. We're always having a good day here. We got Halloween tomorrow, so last minute little bit of FBA rush, but at this point, probably just looking forward to going trick or treating, that kind of stuff. Yeah, got a good couple weeks ahead of us for sure, though. So make sure everybody's getting nice and prepped for Q4. I'm going live just to answer any questions you guys got. Make sure we're feeling super confident going into kind of the holiday sales rush here. And yeah, excited to probably be jamming for 25, 30 minutes here. As a reminder, we're live every Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern, and then Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then occasionally live within there as well. So if you want to make sure you don't miss out, if you're on YouTube, you can subscribe, hit the little bell thing, and get notified. And what's up over here on TikTok. So yeah, let me know what questions you guys have as you're hopping on in here. Let me know. Say hi. Who we got here? What's up, Basil? How you doing, man? Good to see you. You've been on pretty much all the streams lately. Good to see you. Hope everything's going good for you. How are sales going for you, man? I know you've been definitely locked in, learning lots of stuff about selling on Amazon. So yeah, good to see you there. Yeah, and another good thing to just kind of be on the lookout for when you're looking at like Halloween products right now. It's a good kind of like training grounds almost to see what a lot of products are going to look like for 2 to 3 weeks during like the peak of December. So it's a good time to kind of like look at those products that are massively spiking in price. Some of those right now you can still go like pick up at Walmart, that kind of thing. There'll be some last minute profit to be had on a lot of that stuff. But it's also just another good opportunity to go and look and see what does an item look like when it's massively in demand. How much higher are FBM sellers versus FBA sellers, and lots of good stuff like that. Just kind of learn the game there. What's up? You said, do you sell on TikTok? Not right now. No. I just sell on Amazon, Walmart, and working on some other marketplaces today actually as well. Obviously selling some stuff on eBay, Mercari, anywhere you can sell products. We probably have sold something, for sure. Let's see. Advice you gave last stream was super useful. Thank you. Yeah, what's up, man? Good to see you again. You have a shorter username than last time too, I noticed. Let's see. How much inventory should you buy? Is it okay to capitalize on Q4 by spending all your budget on 3 items? Yeah, so like buy as much inventory as you can. Is the main thing. Yeah, but like if you're like brand new, you obviously don't want to buy 1,000 units of something, assuming that it's going to go super well for you. So like at this point, I would say buy 10 to 20 units of whatever you're like planning on selling, see how it goes. And then especially during Q4, you can start like kind of doubling down on everything you're buying. Start skipping test orders, all that good stuff. So right now I probably wouldn't spend everything you have on like 3 different products unless you don't have very much inventory. That sounds like a fast track to getting banned, pals. Yeah. Buy stuff from Shein. Yeah, I mean you gotta be selling stuff that's like the correct brand. You'll get banned off Amazon pretty quick unless it's like an unbranded product, in which case you can go for it. But then you're buying like ads and that kind of stuff at that point, which is like an entirely different model of selling on Amazon for sure. For sure. You want to start selling on Amazon? How do you start? Easy way to start is just going to like your local retail store and starting to scan stuff. Just scan stuff with SellerAmp, see what stuff sells for. What items are profitable, what brands sell on Amazon, what brands can you sell on Amazon. If you don't have like a retail store, you don't want to do it that way. You can always start sourcing online as well. That's how I run my business at this point, is buying from big websites and selling it back on Amazon. And to get into that, just look up auto ungated sourcing. So when you're a new seller, you have to get approved to sell brands, right? But there is a decent handful of brands that don't require any approval. So you can start with those basically. For sure. See, you bought some trash bags for $4. How do you know if it's profitable with FBA? Yeah, so you'll find the listing for like whatever product you saw. Maybe it's on clearance, a sale, that kind of thing. Open up that product on Amazon, check the SellerAmp data on there, and then you'll be able to plug in like that $4 cost, and it'll show you like how fast it sells, if there's profit on it, that kind of thing. But yeah. Yeah, and instead of like randomly looking for things that are like cheap, it sounds like that might be what you're doing right now. It's not just like randomly finding sale items. It's a lot easier to go and look at what brands are already successful on Amazon, what sellers are already successful on Amazon, and kind of reverse engineer their work from there, rather than like it's pretty rare that I'll open up a website, just like randomly look at a clearance section and source from there. I'm going to look at a list of products that already works. So that's going to be an Amazon seller storefront, maybe a keep a product finder search. And then I'm going to compare those back all across the internet and try to see if one of them's cheaper not today. What's up, Turk? You missed the college dorm room days. Appreciate you. If you've been watching for that long, I appreciate you, man. It's been a while at this point. What, like 4 years, 3 years? I don't know. Lose track of time when you're having fun, something like that. Let's see. What's the price point of a high-end buyer? So I would say anything on Amazon that's like $200 plus, I would consider relatively high ticket. If you are going to sell high ticket items on Amazon, just make sure you track really closely, like serial numbers and just like any details about the products that are distinctive. Like I wouldn't sell, personally, I'm not going to sell like $500 pairs of shoes on Amazon because that's just like ripe for return fraud and that kind of thing. But you might look into selling like, electronics where you can write down the serial number, that type of product. But yeah, as far as high ticket, that's not something I typically do a ton of. My favorite items are in the $30 to $100 price range. Plenty of wiggle room to get, lots of margin, that kind of stuff, but it's not so expensive that if, one customer is able to scam me on something, it's going to like keep me up at night, right? If it's $100, whatever, it's annoying, but moving on. It's not like, I know some people like all they do is sell like, multiple thousands dollar items and they'll make like one sale a day and that's it. And when it goes well, it's really easy, but when it doesn't, you got some headaches. So it's really just kind of up to what you want to manage, basically. Let's see. When you send from the prep center to the warehouse, how many days will it take to be active? Yeah, shipping to the FBA warehouses. Don't ship anything that you want to be sold during the Christmas rush. You probably have like 10 days or so right now for it to be fairly likely that it'll check in. And if you want it like guaranteed that it's like a Christmas item that's going to be checked in during December, you need to get it like ASAP. I'm going to be sending a lot of stuff to FBA even through like Black Friday, and then I'll probably be doing a lot of shipping direct to customer after that. What's the best product to start off with? Anything that's profitable is like the short answer. Specifically though, you can look at anything that a retail store sells. So go to like Great Value from Walmart, for example. Like a Walgreens branded item. Like you can look up, there's a bunch of products on Amazon that are specifically just Walgreens brand. So you know exactly where they're buying that stuff from, right? Because they have to be getting it from that retail store. So it's just a game of comparing what, this seller who sells a retail store item sells, compare that to what, is actually selling across the internet and kind of go from there. If you want to see like how all of that works, there's only so much we can explain just like talking about it. Just look up Fields of Profit on YouTube. Specifically, there's a 4-hour long free course that's good to watch. So just look up Fields of Profit free course on YouTube. That'll kind of show you all the basics if you want to see everything in a lot greater detail than just kind of talking on a live stream. So during the past week, you've seen a lot of accounts with their own brand, but selling someone else's brand. You guys need to register. Yeah, so some accounts, like you can sell your own brand and you can resell other brands. A lot of people will do that because it's a really smart way to fund like a long-term project. A lot of people want to get into Amazon to start their own brand, but it's a pretty risky endeavor. It can be pretty expensive, that kind of thing. But reselling is not really risky at all. But it's not it's not a sellable business, right? So a lot of people will build up that cash flow from reselling and use that to fund on the same account, like their own product line that they want to launch. And that's like a really smart way to get into private label. That way, because it's pretty much inevitable that when you try to make your own product, it's going to fail. That way you have a lot of money to fall back on. And that goes for everything else. Lots of people resell for a few years, use that to buy some real estate, and then they just do real estate for a little while. It's kind of just a cash machine is how you really want to look at it. How long does it take to become profitable? Most sellers are profitable after a month or two. The only real overhead is the inventory that you're buying to resell. Beyond that, it's just SellerAmp, Keepa, and Boxem for software. That's like $90 a month. And then it's maybe $200, $300 on supplies, whatever you can spend on inventory from there. And yeah, like, $1,000, $2,000 to get going. For sure. Boxem is US only at the moment. So, yeah, let's see. Started this year. All net arbitrage, you're gated in almost all the brands. Yeah, so gating is like, don't see gating as like a big roadblock. You can sell products that are gated. You just have to get approved to sell them, which you can do by buying them from any legitimate website that sells that brand. So for example, if you want to sell I'm, rough example. I'm not sure if your account can actually apply. Let's call it, L'Oreal makeup. You just go buy 10 from Ulta, right? Or let's say you want to sell Carter's clothing, just go buy 10 from the Carter's website, and then submit that to Amazon, basically. Best types of products to sell this time of year, anything that's giftable, right? So not only toys but also makeups and shoes and clothes and chocolates and that kind of stuff, right? So all those are going to start selling really fast here within, I would say like 2 weeks from now. A bunch of people are going to start buying that when they do get-togethers for Thanksgiving and that kind of thing. And then obviously during Christmas they're going to be buying all kinds of giftable items. But yeah, anything that's profitable, to be honest, like, on an average day, I'm buying everything from makeup to shoes to car parts to, a socket set, anything that's profitable. The main thing is just, every day you're going to source different inventory just naturally, because when you're looking through, the products and looking what other Amazon sellers are having success on, only specific brands and specific niches are going to be on sale today or have those conditions that make it profitable. And that's a good thing. You want to find those items that are only profitable, a couple days out of the month with the right combination of, sale, coupon, discounts, that kind of thing. It makes it, makes your items more long-term, basically. Don't spend all your money. Make sure you save some money. It takes 2 weeks to get paid out. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Don't spend more money than you have, that kind of thing. I see a lot of new Amazon sellers like going crazy on the credit cards and that kind of stuff. So, lots of smart sellers do use debt, but you don't want to use debt right away. Just because leveraging debt and spending money you don't have, it only makes you amplify what you're already doing. And if you're a new seller doing beginner mistakes and kind of learning the ropes, you're just amplifying beginner mistakes if you start to leverage debt. Later down the line, it can be a great idea, but not early on. I don't want to see people going crazy on a on a credit card or something like that. Let's see. Do you have to register a business when you sell on Amazon? You can start it with a sole proprietor, but most people will want to have like an LLC or something like that. That's kind of up to you. I didn't care to have one. I was like an 18-year-old broke college kid, so I had nothing to come after if I was a sole proprietor and something weird happened. But a lot of people got a house, family. It's a good idea. Do you get all your stuff from Alibaba? I do not buy anything from Alibaba. Well, actually, I take that back. I did I guess I got to make sure you can't see me. I did buy a sample from Alibaba, looking into a private label of sorts, but that's just like a side project at this point. We've bought about $3-ish million worth of products, all from big websites. So, Walgreens, Vitacost, Walmart.com, Target, that kind of thing. Yeah. And so our business is 95% online arbitrage. Every now and then we'll buy like a wholesale order. If I get looped in with some friends, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's pretty much all big websites. Let's see, warehouses or prep center. I use a prep center personally. I've talked to some other big sellers who regretted getting a warehouse, and it's a lot to manage. Like personally, I started my business that I'm not stuck in one building for for the work hours every single day. You can kind of go where you want to be. And that didn't jive well with having a warehouse. I know some people, they just want to build that empire and that kind of thing. But yeah, a lot of times you'll notice a warehouse, from talking to some big sellers, someone who manages a warehouse probably pays anywhere from 40 to 60 cents per unit if you look at all the expenses. And you can pay a prep center usually like $1 to $1.20 a unit. So it is twice as expensive, but you got to think about, what kind of business do you want to run? Sweet. Regret. Oh, what's up, man? Good to see you. You regret getting the warehouse? But you keep building more and more warehouse. I'm gonna have to pop back over there, and somehow that warehouse is gonna be like 8 stories or something like that when I get back over there. You guys built that warehouse. You were already too big for it. Let's see. What's a good way to identify a restockable item? Products you find often has a low price after a few weeks. Yeah, the stuff that you're gonna be able to buy over and over again is going to be things that are only profitable during a small window of time. And a lot of people think that's bad. Aren't you always hunting for new deals and that kind of thing? After a while, you'll start realizing, oh, Walgreens runs the same 25% sale every 6 weeks. All right, every 6 weeks, I'm going to restock up on my favorite items. That's just an example. I don't know if it's every 6 weeks. It's somewhere around there. But yeah, you kind of start building that rotation of knowing when to when to restock certain items. And in terms of like what to look at to know when to restock, you'll just load up on Boxem. There's going to be an ASIN profitability page. Just filter that by what's making you the most money every month and start to restock the things where you have 2 or 3 weeks or less of stock. Let's see. Running out of the garage now. Amazon rules killed you. Yeah, that does make sense. I know you were doing a bunch of like branded bundles and that kind of thing. I was wondering about that. I was, as soon as like they came out with that policy, I was immediately thinking about the snacks and that kind of thing. Let's see. Why no private label? I've actually started messing with it. Like I said, I just make sure, nothing revealing on there. This is the first sample I've bought from Alibaba there, but that's more just like a fun side project. I don't know if it's actually going to go anywhere. I just saw something that looked interesting. Gonna maybe throw a few $1,000 at it and see what can happen. But yeah, I mean, there's like 4 or 5 different ways I've seen people run $10+ million businesses on Amazon. So there's no reason to like get stuck doing one specific thing just because somebody said it's the best, right? A lot of people will say like, oh, you can't make a bunch of money reselling. All right, well, why are there 10 or $20 million resellers out there? Why are random people able to sell $1 million+ in their first year when they're like really getting after it? And you'll see the same thing in every business model. Just pick the one that like is fun to you and you can do for a long time. What up, Grant? Yeah, something like that. Let's see, is preferred amount of competition you like? How many people do you like to share with on a product? It depends on trend of sellers. So I know a lot of people ask like, how many sellers is too many to compete with? Sometimes an item with 5 sellers is too many. Sometimes an items with 50 could handle 50 more. It's really just down to how fast does that item sell and how sustainable is the price. So I'm always going to avoid buying things where there's like a quickly increasing number of sellers on the product. But if it's been consistently at 40 sellers and it's profitable the whole time, I have no reason to think that trend is going to stop randomly. So I'll buy an item with 40 sellers if it looks good. Let's see. How long before you start to use a distribution service? I assume you mean like a prep center. So like, yeah, I don't really work with distributors, especially this year. I don't know if I placed a PO in the last like several months with a distributor, but I assume you're talking about like a shipper, like a prep center. In which case I started using a prep center when we were doing like 25, 30K a month. Yeah, it's okay, cool. Yeah. And yeah, Bolly, that's what I'm just talking about. So I don't mail everything out myself anymore. I use a prep center and they list everything, and then they'll ship it off to Amazon through Boxem. And you pay them per unit to ship things out for you, basically. That way you're not like, touching every product and doing all the grunt work for forever in your business. But I did it all for a while just because it's the best way to get after it for sure. What's the top product? I think for me it's probably like a clothing item, probably going to be. To be honest, the way I like to resell is buying 1,000 of this, or $1,000 of this, $2,000 of this, maybe even just $500 of this, and have a lot of base hits. And every now and then you'll naturally just stumble into something you can buy 10,000 of. But if you focus on just hitting as many base hits as possible when you're reselling, rather than like always looking for that home run, like crazy product, you're gonna stumble into like consistent cash flow rather than, oh, my whole business is built on this one thing that I bought a ton of. And, it stopped selling a little bit, not quite as fast. It's not popular on TikTok anymore. Like, whatever outside factors, it just de-risks the business a little bit. Both approaches are very valid, but I like to kind of just focus on hitting a lot of base hits. It's like kind of what I like to call it. When you're doing it at home, how many hours are you sending shipping and preparing packages? A lot, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, selling on Amazon is hard work, right? Anything that works is hard work. You gotta be very clear on that. You're not don't sell on Amazon if you want to get rich quick scheme, because it's hard work. But most of the time I would say for every like let's say for every hour you spend sourcing, you're probably going to need to spend another like 20 minutes shipping that stuff in. So just think about that, like as you're sourcing inventory. It's another good reason to make sure you only buy things that you're making a respectable profit on. Don't buy 3 units of something you're going to make $2 on. Is it worth making a listing and managing a product for $6? Probably not. Especially later down the line. How do you source? Vast majority of my stuff just comes from figuring out what's working for other people and then reverse engineering it. So it's going to be storefront stalking. Yeah, traders, I know you're asking some good questions. So I have a YouTube video that you probably want to dive into. And anybody, if you want to see how to like source products, just look up auto ungated sourcing Amazon on YouTube, and it'll be like a 20-ish minute video showing you how to source things that you're already approved to sell. So just like not having to deal with the gating process on some of those products. And then there's also I have a 4-hour long free course on YouTube as well. So all you guys just kind of wanting a good starting point, dive into one of those there. See, for sure. Do you use auto ship discounts, or does that get you banned? No, you can do auto ship discounts and then just like instantly cancel, or sometimes you don't even want to cancel. You want to keep it going. If you buy a ton of auto ship stuff and then cancel it, you are more likely to get banned from that retailer. So I usually don't make a habit out of doing that at places that I buy a lot of inventory. But sometimes you'll stumble into just like a small website with a subscribe and save discount, and sure, I'll buy 5 of those. Cancel the auto ship and see if they let me do it again. So you want to start Amazon, trying to decide between arbitrage and private label. Yeah, I mean, so like private label, really good private label sellers are gonna, 1 out of every 3 products is gonna be successful, and that's from talking to successful private label sellers. So you gotta, if you want to start private label, you'll want to have like at least $10,000 to $20,000 that you can afford to lose. If you're doing arbitrage, the most you're ever gonna lose on a product is whatever you spend on it. So $500, $200, that kind of thing. So it's, you can do private label right away, but I just see a lot of people who do that and end up failing because it's a lot to learn all at once. So do both, but I would definitely, sell your first $100,000 to $200,000 on Amazon, just reselling stuff. It's the much simpler way to do it. Let's see. You buy from retailers, and Amazon doesn't accept retail receipts. They do, yeah. So that's a pretty common misconception, that you can't buy from retail stores. For example, on like account health complaints, if you ever get like an IP complaint or an inauthentic complaint, it'll, even in the specific things they want to see, it'll list like upload a wholesale invoice or a retail receipt or an online invoice. Like Amazon specifically says that those are fine. Plus there wouldn't be, if Amazon didn't allow resellers, there wouldn't be people who have been reselling for 5+ years, right? There's a lot of them though. The arbitrage, you can spend as little or as much as you want. Yeah, exactly. Just kind of a little more flexible. Definitely look into private label eventually if that's something that's interesting to you, but you are magnitudes more likely to end up quitting and losing money if you start with private label, just from seeing a lot of people try both. For sure. Is retail arbitrage good to start? Yeah, I would say that's probably the best way to just like learn the basics, because the only way, like the only competition you have with retail arbitrage is the people that are in your city. So if no one in your city has gone out to like resell products on Amazon, which is like a pretty specific thing to be doing, especially if you're not in like a huge city, there's a lot less competition. So there might be like a lot of stuff sitting on the shelf. If you're looking for stuff online, you're competing with everyone online, right? More or less. So it's more of a learning curve. It's a lot easier to hit, your first $1,000 doing retail arbitrage. A lot easier to make your first, $100,000 doing online arbitrage. And if you want to make like $1 million plus, it's probably easier to launch a brand after you like get to those initial milestones. It's not FBA, it's FBM. You want to do both. Yeah, it depends on the time of year, depends on the product. Let's see. You went bankrupt because you went all in on a product and got undercut. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, so exactly what we are just talking about. Don't go all in on one product. That's like the worst thing you can do. That's like when you're getting started, you just want to buy 10 units of something that you're reselling, see how it goes. Worst case scenario, you don't sell the 10 units and you learn something, right? It's like, okay, I'm out $100, but I learned, oh, this specific, I don't buy things if the buy box is being owned by a distributor, right? Like simple things like that. So yeah, I mean, that kind of makes total sense. And that's exactly why you're not supposed to go all in on one product right away. For sure. You like to do wholesale FBM. Yeah, if you want to get into wholesale, look at Jonah FBA or Corey Ganem. They do a lot of good wholesale content. Let's see. You're looking for a course? Yeah, so there's a free course up in my bio on TikTok or down below. It's about 3-4 hours long. Plus, there's a Discord and some like some spreadsheets and documents and that kind of stuff that'll help you get going. Yeah, the course is free, like I said. Let's see. People make it sound so easy. Yeah, they do. It's definitely not easy. You'll see it on social media, like driving the Lamborghini and all kinds of stuff like that. It's definitely not easy, but if you're willing to put in some effort and get over, the initial 3 to 4 week learning curve where it feels almost impossible, like then you'll start making some money. So like that's another reason why like you start if you're like actually wanting to make money on Amazon this year, start today because December is the most profitable month of the year, and you'll need the next couple weeks to like learn the basics. So you got to start ASAP. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wait until next year to catch like the most profitable little bit of the year. Let's see. Did you reinvest all your profits back into the Amazon business? When I was starting selling, yeah, I did. I reinvested everything for like over a year just to build the business as big as I could and then start pulling some money out. And it didn't affect the business as much. That's obviously going to depend on your personal situation. But let's see. Does Amazon auto and get more brands if your sale history increases? Yeah, the more you sell, the more things you'll get automatically approved to sell for sure. Usually I'll see once you've sold maybe 5 to 10,000 bucks, depending on your account, you'll start to get auto ungated in a lot of like mid-sized brands, some things that maybe you've like kind of heard of before, or definitely like brands you've never heard of before, you'll start getting approved for. But it's almost always going to be an ungating process to sell like a Starbucks or, like very premium brands that everyone knows about. Tools to find products. Yeah. So you just use Keepa and SellerAmp for sourcing. SellerAmp and Keepa for sourcing, and then Boxem for listing. There's also an AI assistant. So a lot of you guys, I know you're new. You can go and ask the AI assistant on Boxem, what brands to source, where you can source today, what's on sale today. If you find a product and you want, help, like how do I make this item profitable? Boxem can help figure that out for you. Kind of compare like different ways to create discounts on that kind of thing. For sure. Yeah, traders. Yep. Sweet. You heard seasonal products are bad to sell. Most of the time, they're a little riskier, right? Like for me, I don't usually sell, I don't know, Christmas lights, right? But I'm going to sell a lot of things that people give as gifts. Or for Halloween, we might do a fair amount of candy where it'll still sell the week after Halloween, but we're not selling as many like Halloween costumes. Just because I don't like selling things where there's a very hard deadline where as soon as a certain day hits, you're not going to be making very many sales anymore. Now the downside to that is there's usually more profit as like a reward for buying those riskier things. So a lot of people will build their entire business on seasonal products, but I like kind of with most things, I try to build as much consistency as possible in my business rather than like trying to hit like, risky home runs and that kind of thing. Let's see. How do you do shipping? You make trips to UPS every day? No, I used to be running boxes off for sure, but no. So we'll ship everything to a prep center. It's like a third-party company that receives and lists and ships everything for us, and we just pay them per unit. So you can just look up like prep center on Google, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You basically pay third-party companies. Let's call it. So you're gonna pay a third-party company. Let's call it like $1.50 to receive all that inventory for you and ship that stuff off to Amazon. Is a bad time to start private label this time or wait until next year? Right now start reselling. If you want to do like private label or wholesale or something like that, January, February is a good time to do that. But the most profitable couple months of the year for reselling are here right now. So it doesn't really make much sense to do anything but reselling, especially right now. Isn't that what FBA is for? So that is FBA, right? The prep center is going to ship to Amazon FBA for you. But Amazon, in order to send things to FBA, requires like a specific process. So you can't just like buy from Target and ship it to Amazon and hope they figure it out. You ship it to a prep center, and then from there, they'll go through the process of creating the listing, shipping it into Amazon, that kind of thing, right? Because basically, you have to tell Amazon what you're shipping, what's in each box, that kind of thing, and that's what Boxem's for as well, is making that process simple. So the beginning, did you do no advertising? Yeah. You don't really need to buy ads unless you are selling something that is your personal brand. But if you sell, like, for example, name brand vitamins that already sell, you're just selling to customers that are already searching for that on Amazon. You're meeting existing demand, and your job is to buy things as cheap as possible. For sure. That makes sense. Do you have a criteria for products you like? Like there's a lot of like rough things. So in the free course I mentioned, actually every single thing I look at for a product is there's a free document that has everything. So things like, $3 profit, 30% ROI. For me, I don't like to do things over 10 pounds. So if you want to see like that entire checklist, that's in the free course up here. If you're on YouTube, it's down below. It's called the Amazon Launchpad if you're looking through the resources and stuff. Prep centers, slow down your shipments since you can't do optimized shipping. No, you can do optimized shipping with a prep center. You'll just need to make sure that you have like matching quantities of everything, or like a quantity that's divisible. Basically, you just can't use like a prime number quantity of things. That's like kind of getting into the weeds there. If you're curious on optimized shipping, I actually made a video on YouTube today, like breaking that down. But you can have your prep center do optimized shipping if you want. That's kind of something you can talk to them about too. I mean, not really, Rolo, not beyond like raising the price of the entire country. Like that's all it has done for everyone. So, prices on our goods go up. We raise prices on Amazon. That just is what it is. If you're worried about like tariffs and that kind of thing, all it does is raise prices for everyone. So we pay more and we make customers pay more. We're not going to just, get rid of our margins. Let's see. So you just use SellerAmp and Keepa for sourcing products. That software you mentioned is just for like private label sourcing. It's a lot more like, a lot more expensive and a lot more like random stuff that's not helpful for reselling. For sure. Sweet. Probably gonna go ahead and wrap up here. So I was gonna do 30 minutes. But yeah, good to see you guys. If you guys are watching on TikTok, there's a bunch of free resources up here. It's a free course. Check out the YouTube channels. There's a free course over there as well. Basically all the resources you need to kind of get going. Like I said, now's a really good time because you got the holiday season coming up. So kind of get serious about it. And yeah, appreciate all you guys hanging out on TikTok and YouTube. On YouTube, all the resources and stuff like that are down below. Appreciate you guys hanging out, and you guys have a good rest of your day here.